Underworld is a vampire versus werewolf horror movie. The movie is about vampires, and they've been in this centuries, a multiple century feud with werewolves. But in this movie, they call them lichens. And yeah, our main character, she is a death dealer. She is one of the main people who goes out and kills these werewolves, and she's extremely good at it. Well, the movie starts off, and basically, the vampires are honestly just destroying the werewolves. They have been for a very long time. Well, this movie kind of starts off with the werewolves actually adapting. They have some bullets that are just messing up the vampires, killing them. UV bullets that are just disintegrating these vampires. So the movie kind of starts with, the tides are kind of turning. Well, our main character, she ends up going back to her covenant, and she tells everybody, look, the werewolves, they're gathering, they're growing in numbers, and they have technology that can fight against us. Well, in this movie, the leaders of these covenants take turns basically being asleep while one is awake. So there's multiple elders, and right now, most of the important ones are taking century-long naps. And yet, the guy who's currently running this place is kind of shady, incompetent, not the best guy, and he's not believing this chick, our main character, when she says, look, werewolves, bad news. And as the story goes on, you find out the reason he's not believing her is because he's actually in cahoots with the werewolves. And besides that, our main character also notices that the werewolves were stalking this human, and not for food, they were more so trying to capture him, which is absolutely something bonkers, something that the werewolves should not be doing, and no one is listening to her. Well, as the movie progresses, we find out that this guy is basically a descendant from one of the first vampire werewolves or whatever, and he actually has this blood in him that allows him to basically have the virus of both the vampire and werewolf, as if a vampire is bit by a werewolf or vice versa, they die, because you cannot have the virus of both in you. It is just an abomination. Well, all the shenanigans is happening, and she realizes that this is going to basically destroy their covenant, so she early resurrects one of the elders. He comes to life, and he realizes that yes, there's betrayal, the werewolves are back. The one main werewolf who was supposed to be murdered centuries ago actually wasn't murdered, because that's the guy who's in cahoots with the elder that was alive and up. And as trying to not go into too many spoilers, because I'm already kind of going into spoilers. Well, as the movie progresses, there is a plot twist with this elder, and like I said, from this point on, it's really just mainly spoilers. So I think we're just going to get into the review, and there will be spoilers. So that was kind of just like the basic idea of the plot. So my review to Underworld, and honestly, these movies are pretty good. I've actually only seen the first one, so I've seen the first one multiple times. I've never seen the other four, so it's going to be a very fun adventure. I can tell you that the story of the first one is pretty good. I really like the story. There's betrayal, lots of betrayal, and a lot of plot twists, as you kind of find out as the movie progresses that actually the werewolves aren't the bad guys, because they kind of seem like the bad guys, only because our main character is the vampire. And turns out that the elder, Victor, I can't remember everybody's names, I'm sorry, But the main elder, that is the one that turns our main character, the female character, uh, he's a bad guy, obviously. He actually killed her whole family and blamed it on the werewolves, and that is literally the only reason that she's killing werewolves. So, like, her basically being who she is was a complete sham and lie. And obviously, when she finds this out, she battles it out with Victor. And yeah, so the main guy, I can't remember his name, the dude who was up before Victor, he was working for the werewolves. So even though you kind of think, oh man, this guy's a traitor and stuff, well, when you kind of find out that the werewolves are good guys, yeah, he kind of went about it the wrong way, but in a sense, like, he's not a terrible, horrible person, because, like I said, the werewolves were slaves, and then they've basically been eradicated. Yeah, and the whole reason that everything started was because a werewolf fell in love with a vampire. Classic love story. And yeah, pretty good. The transformations in this movie are okay. You can definitely tell, like, certain scenes are like practical, and then others are like special CGI and stuff like that. And the CGI, obviously, it's kind of an old movie, isn't the best, but it still looks pretty good, honestly. Like, when they're running on the walls, it's probably like the worst it looks. But when they're just standing up, scrapping, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, all in all, a pretty good movie. The acting's good. I really like the decor and the atmosphere of these movies and how it looks and feels, with it being dark and like everything kind of having this goth look to it. Really, really nice. Yeah, all in all, a pretty decent movie. I enjoyed it. Also, it just is a fun movie. I always like it when there's versus movies, so that's always pretty cool. So my recommendation for Underworld, and I would easily recommend this. This is just a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed the story. It kind of reminded me of like some Game of Thrones betrayal. It was like betrayal after betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. It is pretty good, honestly. I enjoyed it.